first thing that we need to do is go to Google, search for Scratch, and then the first result that comes up will take us to the online version of Scratch. We're going to go to the top and click Create. Then we're going to close down the tutorials and we're going to delete the sprite there. So at that point, pause the video, get onto Scratch, delete those two areas and then come back. First thing that we need to do is get a background. So this is the stage. We're going to go down to here, hover over it, and then we want to go to the top and click Upload Backdrop. Your school network should have a folder called Winter Scenes that's got 30 pictures in there, and then you just need to choose which one of those you want to use. So once you've chosen one, double click it and it will appear on here. You can see it's not filling the stage at this when it's first loaded up, so we're going to go over to there, get select, drag a box over the whole area and then just use the corners to make it fill the whole of the stage. I'm going to go back to code. Right, so pause the video, do that first and get your background in, then come back. Once you're there, now we need to make a sprite for our snow. I'm going to go down to the new sprite here and then I'm going to click on their paint. So we want to get the paintbrush tool. It'll start off on purple, but we're going to leave it like that for the time being because we want to see how big this is. So we can see it's quite a small dot there. So let's go to 25 and we can see it's just there in the centre. Once we've got our size, we turn the saturation down and we turn the brightness up. And then you can just make out, try and get that exactly in the centre, and we just click with our dot. Then we're going to come back to code. So we can see that dot in the middle there. That's absolutely fine. So what we need to do now is pause the video and make that sprite. Then come back. So once we've got that, we're going to go to events and we're going to start with when the flag is clicked. So we're going to build this up in stages so that we can see how this one works. So initially we're going to go to Looks and we're going to hide that sprite. Then we're going to make it go to the very top of the screen. So we're on to Motion, I'm going to use Go To, let's for now have the X axis at 0 and then we're going to set the Y to 180, which is the top of the stage there. So we can try that by double clicking it and we can see that goes to the top. Because we want it to fall downwards, we're going to need it to point downwards, so we're going to get pointing direction, click on that and then use this one so that it goes to 180 and come back off that one. At this point then we're going to show our sprite, so it's going to Looks and then Show. And then what we're going to do is get this to move until it touches the bottom. So on the control, we're going to use repeat until. We're going to go to Motion and we're going to tell it to move. And for this one I'm going to use 7 steps. So you might change that later. For now we'll go with 7. Now we need it to keep moving until it gets here. So now we need a maths operator. Let's go to the green operators and then we want the one with the less than symbol. So there, look, the less than symbol points to the left. We need to go back to Motion and we need to find the Y position. So if the top of that is 180, the bottom must be minus 180, but we don't want to go all the way there, so I'm going to go minus 178, so it's just slightly above the very bottom, and then we get hold of this and we drop it into there. So let's just pause the video, build that program if you haven't done already, and then come back. Let's test this one. So it goes down to the bottom and it stays there. We can run it again. But if you notice, every single time we run it, it appears in the same place. So if we've got lots of these, and we will need lots of them, we can't have them all going down there in one line. So what we need to do now is go back to this go-to. We're going to go back to the maths operators, and we're going to take the pick random. The centre of the stage, the coordinates are 0, 0. So our y goes 180 down to minus 180. Our x goes 240 to minus 240. So that's what we want here. Minus 240. And then on this one, 240. And we're going to put this in that x box there. So it's going to go to a random place each time. So let's run this. So now it appears differently each time we do it. So again, pause the video and get that pick random into your go to X position. So now we've got one of those working. What we need it to do though is keep doing this. So I'm going to take this off there, and I'm going to go back to the control, and I'm going to put a forever loop around the outside of that. I'll put this one onto there, and then we're going to move this over. So on this one here, we're going to create 10 copies of it. So just again, to make sure it doesn't appear too early, we're going to hide that one. We're going to go to Control, and we're going to use a repeat. And what we want to do on the repeat, we want it to create clones of itself. So it's going to create 10 clones of itself. Over here then, with our other program, we're going to have when I start as a clone. So let's try that now. So we get all of these coming down. Now they're not working exactly how we want yet. We'll fix that in a minute. So pause your video. Remember that you need to build this one, and we need to then put the when I start as a clone over there instead of when the flag is clicked. So once you've done that, come back and we'll look at how we can scatter these a little bit more. So we've got where some of our snow is coming down there and then reappearing up at the top. So that's fine. We just need to spread them out a little bit. So we're going to go to wait. We don't want it to always wait 1 second, so let's go back to our maths operators, and we're going to put in that pick random. And again, up to you, but I'm going to just try now. Wait 1 to 4 seconds, and we're going to put this one just before it starts to show that sprite. So let's try that. So now we're getting a little bit more scattering as these come down. So pause the video, add that line, and then come back again for our next stages. Okay, so at this stage, what you could do if you want, depending on how much time you have left, you could just increase the number of these. So let's say 50. And then once that gets going, you do have quite a lot. But I want to make it a little bit more realistic than that. So I'm going to put that back down to 10. And what we're going to do is go over here, right click, and we're going to duplicate sprite 1. So we've now got sprite 2. So we're going to make some changes now to sprite 2. We're going to imagine that the snow for sprite 2 is slightly further back into the scene. So that means from where we're standing, where our camera is, it would look to be going a little bit slower, and it would look to be a little bit smaller. So I'm going to change that one to 6 steps. I'm going to go to the costumes, I'm going to go to the looks, and we're going to take this set size and we're going to put it just after the hide. So we want this one a little bit smaller, and it's just a case of experimenting. So let's go with say 75%, and then let's just see what we get. Yeah, so we've got some slightly smaller ones, Okay, I'm happy with that. They are moving a little bit slower, so again, up to you. You might want to change that down, but I don't want to do it at this stage. So pause the video, right click and duplicate sprite 1, so you've got sprite 2. You're going to change the speed and you're going to add that size change there. Okay, if you've done that, let's look at our next stage then. So we're going to right click and duplicate. Sprite 3, again, it's going to go a little bit slower. It's going to go up 5. I'm going to drop this one down to 50%. And that's all I really need to have to do now. So let's just try that again. So we're now seeing again that smaller snow in the background. And let's just keep repeating this now. So we're going to duplicate. This one is then going to move to 4 seconds. So on this one, I might go to 30%. Let's run again. Right click and duplicate. Let's take this one to 3 steps. Let's take this to 20%. So now we're starting to get a little bit of depth once that snow gets going in the background. And I'm just going to get one more here. This one is going to be 1 step and 10%. So we do get some of those in the background. I'm looking at that and I'm still thinking they're a little bit large, so maybe let's go to a 5. If you wanted, you could add another one with 2 steps and that 10%. That's entirely up to you. So we're getting some of these falling down. Again, save, get your sprites on, so you've got 6 or 7, however many you want, different speeds, and then come back for the next part. So next thing I want to do now, that one at the background, the very small one, I'm going to have more of them. So I'm going to tell that to repeat 30, which means that the smaller ones, there will be a lot more of them once they get going. But you see how they're all falling together. So what we need to do now is delay them a little bit longer. So we might actually just put that up to 8 seconds so that we get a much bigger scatter of those background ones, hopefully. Yeah, we're starting to get that. Still got some gaps, so let's increase it a little bit more so that we're getting all of these. Okay, and then I might just go with some of these here and just add a few more. Let's have a 20 on that one, maybe a 20 on this one, and let's see what we get. So don't worry too much about that initial scene. It's once they start falling at this point that we want it to be looking a little bit more realistic. Pause the video, get caught up with that so that you've got more clones of the sprites, and then come back. Now would be a very good point to save. So you're going to go File, Save to your computer, and you then need to save it in your own drive. I would call it something like Winter Scene 1, something like that. At this point, you could say you're finished, so if you don't have a lot of time left, then that's finished. What we could do though is add some messages coming into this, and we could also make it so that people don't see this until the snow's already down, so it doesn't just all appear at the very top there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to come into here and paint a new sprite, and for this sprite I'm just going to get the bucket tool, I'm going to get the fill tool, and I'm going to turn the brightness down. And no, the bucket tool's not going to let me do that because we need a shape, so let's go to the shape, have that one, and let's just make that as big as we can on the screen, and then come back again. Okay, so we're here now, we can't see anything at all, so make sure you've made your sprite first. So remember there, paint on the costumes, we're going to use the rectangle tool in black to draw all the way over there. What we want to do now is we're going to say on the events, when the flag is clicked, we're going to put in a repeat loop, and then what we're going to do inside that one, we're going to use the lux. So we're going to go to, first of all, set not the colour effect but the ghost. We're going to set that one to 0. Let's just double check that by double clicking here. Yeah, that's fine. And then we're going to go change the ghost. Now it's up to you where you do this. So if we're changing the ghost effect by 25, we want it to get to 100%, so we'd use 4 steps. I'm going to do it the other way around. I'm going to put the 25 in there and 4. So 25 times 4 will give us 100. Let's just try this. And you can see it fades from black into that scene. Now if you want it slower, make that bigger and change that so that they multiply to come to 100. And if we want it really slow, let's go with a repeat 100 and 1 on there, so that our scene comes in here. You could also, if you want, don't use quite as many steps and use a wait inside there. So let's also look at that way. Let's say 0.01 seconds in there, and then this time let's go 25 and 4 and just see what we get there. Right, so it's the same effect, but this does give you a little bit more control over it, because if we want to really slow things down, we can do it that way. But you just experiment with any of those and decide how you want it, so that it comes on to our scene here. So save and complete that program, and then come back. The next thing that we're going to do is add some writing to this. Now this is entirely up to you. You could, if you want, make like a Christmas card message on there. If you don't want to do a Christmas card, then you could do this as an advert for a product, maybe something like hot chocolate for winter or something like that, or just a simple message. Entirely up to you. So let's go again, choose a sprite and go into paint. So I'm going to start with the text box, and we need a colour that's going to stand out well, so I'm going to use a bright red here. Let's click in there, and I'm just going to start off with this one. It's called Outside. So you could add more to this later on, but you know, again, if you're advertising something, this pointer here, and let's keep missing that one. Or is it the text pointer? Yeah, click outside the text, and then let's just make that a little bit bigger. So I'm going to put that, and what we need to look at is over here on the stage to see just where it's going. So okay with that one. What we're going to do now though, I'm going to right click that and duplicate it, and I'm going to do the same again. So our first one now, let's click in there, and I'm going to delete those 2 words. With this one, I'm going to then delete the outside words, and on this one I'm going to delete the first 2 words. So it's there. Let's get the cold. I'll be very careful and not do what I just did, and move that out of the way. So let's move that one back over again. And is it going to let me send that to the back? No, it's not. So let's have a look. Just in case this happens, we will tell it to go to the back. And double click that. There we go. Okay, so we want cold. So you've got to make sure that mouse is exactly on there so that we can move it. Let's click on outside. Let's make sure the mouse is exactly on there. And then we can just put these where we want them. what I'm going to do now, actually pause the video, get your writing, whatever you want, your message. I'm going to go back to Sprite 7 and we're going to steal this program. So we're going to put this onto the its. So this time we actually want to do the opposite. We want it to start off transparent with the ghost effect, and we want to change it the other way. So let's go -4 there. I'm going to take out the weight. Then I'm going to duplicate this to that one, and I'm going to duplicate this to that one. What we don't really want is this appearing straight away though, because it's there too soon. So we want it to go once the animation's been going a little while. So let's go back to control, and we're going to take our wait 1 second, and then it's up to you. So I'm going to say on this one, wait 10 seconds. We also might as well, just to be safe, hide it right at the beginning. We wait 10 seconds, then we show it, and we're starting with that ghost effect then. So let's try that. I'm looking for the it's coming up in 10 seconds time. I'll try that again so we can just see. Okay, yes, it's fading. Okay, so if that's going to be waiting 10 seconds, over here we want to wait maybe 11 seconds, and then we also need to just add those hide and shows. So let's go with those. And then on this one, let's have this at 12 seconds and put in our hide and shows as well. And that should just stop it from appearing right at the very start. So let's go full screen and run. And then our message should be coming up. Might want to add, again if you've got time, is start with whatever's going to be your smallest snowflakes, and then what we're going to do, because they're small and moving slowly, they're supposed to be further away, so we're going to fade them just very slightly. So we're going to Lux, and we're going to use the set ghost effect, and I'm going to set the most distant one at 75. So I'm going to put it in this one just after the size. Yeah, then I'm going to go to the next smallest one, and I'm going to do the same again. So set the ghost effect. This time though I'm going to set that one to 50%. And then we'll go to our next furthest one. So we might go maybe sit with a 30% on this one, and then let's just have a look at that. So if I go to full screen, you can see it's a little bit better. So we can say that the ones that are further back are just faded very slightly. We can see these here, look. And again, it just gives that illusion of distance and depth to the whole thing, if you've got time to do it. We need to remember to go File and save it to your computer. So what you can do, although we don't have the capabilities to do it in school, you can at home go to Scratch Online, load the file. So you need to email the file to yourself, get it on your computer at home, load it up, and then you can run this full screen, and you either use some screen recording software or set your phone up on something stable so that it's not moving about, maybe just a pile of books, point that at your monitor and record it there so that you've got your whole message.